Welcome to Disney A to Z. Today I'm going to be discussing all the things that were announced for Disney World and Disneyland at the D23 convention last weekend. For those that don't know, D23 is a huge fan convention that happens every other year in California. This is where Disney announces all their upcoming projects, whether it's films, theme parks, cruise lines, everything they have to offer. We've got a ton of things to go over, so sit down, strap in, and get ready to go. Also, stick around at the end for an exciting announcement that I have for a special Disney A to Z channel project. Anticipation for this year's D23 couldn't be higher, and I'm sure that Disney has been feeling the pressure from Universal. And that's especially true in Florida, where Universal is slated to open Epic Universe just next year. So Disney really had to announce something to counter that. Disney had previously put out that they were investing $60 billion, that's billion with a B, into the experiences division, which includes the theme parks. Now obviously this is not all going to Disney World and Disneyland. There were also some really amazing things announced for Disney Cruise Lines and the overseas Disney parks, but today we're just focusing on Disney World Resort in Florida and Disneyland in California. So here's one of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney, and it very much so applies to what we are about to dive into. Walt said, "Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there is imagination left in the world." And D23 showed that that quote still pushes the company forward year after year. None of the Disney parks will ever be complete. There will always be something new and exciting to see each time you visit. So let's find out what may be new for your next visit. What was originally only supposed to be a 90-minute presentation for the experiences panel ended up going well over 2 hours, and you're about to see why. To paraphrase Josh D'Amaro, everything is in active development. This is not blue sky. So what does this mean? These are not just projects that we hope will someday come true. All of these projects are officially greenlit. That means, well, some may be further along than others, but we can fully expect to see all of these come to fruition. And without further ado, let's dive in. The first one we're going to talk about is the one that I am most excited to see, Villains Land. This has been rumored for years. The original rumor I remember stretches all the way back to when I was in the college program, way back in 2001. The rumor then, and up until recent years, was that Disney was going to build an entire fifth park dedicated to the Disney villains. Now this would have been complete with the Maleficent Castle in the center as the icon to counter Cinderella Castle at Magic Kingdom. And everybody and their best friend had all sorts of ideas of what was going in it. Then, last year at Destination D23, Disney announced a blue sky version that was going to be Villains Land. So it shows that Disney was paying attention to what the fans were wanting. Alas, we are not getting a full park dedicated to the villains, but we are getting a Villains Land inside Magic Kingdom. And even though it's not a full park, I'm definitely excited about this. Now Disney didn't go into too much detail about Villains Land, except that there will be 2 major attractions, dining, shopping, and more. Disney did use the phrase, "Be prepared, you poor unfortunate souls." Now the reference here is those are songs sung by Disney villains. Be Prepared was Scar in The Lion King. Poor Unfortunate Souls was Ursula in The Little Mermaid. Could this be a clue to things included in Villains Land? We don't know yet. They did say they're going to have 2 major attractions. Could that be Scar and Ursula? We don't know. But me personally, out of all the Disney villains you have to pick from, I'm just not seeing those two as being the marquee to these 2 major attractions. I mean, they've got to be thrill rides, and they gave us clues to that, and you're going to see that here in a second. Now, if we go back to the concept art, we do have some clues. In the center bottom of the picture, we clearly see a roller coaster. Now, around that, it appears as though there are waterfalls pouring down around it. So, could this be an indoor coaster? Time will tell. Now, if we zoom in on the left side of the picture, we can see what also appears to be roller coaster tracks. This looks nothing like the coaster that's pictured at the bottom. That's why I'm thinking Villains Land is getting not one, but 2 roller coasters as the main attractions. And honestly, I think that's extremely fitting for Villains Land. Now back to that second coaster. I feel like this one has to be themed to Maleficent and the Dragon. I mean, we have the dragon right next to what looks like the tracks, and the tracks look like thorns and briars, just like Maleficent uses to guard the castle. If Disney stays true to the concept art, my money is on one of those 2 attractions being a Maleficent coaster. And speaking of Maleficent, it looks like she's getting her own castle within Villains Land. But before you get your hopes up that Magic Kingdom will suddenly have 2 icons, my bet is that this castle is going to be similar in scale to the Beauty and the Beast castle in Fantasyland. Now, there is no concrete info about the size of said castle, but that's my gut thought. And I'm very curious to see what the building is in the center on the right side of the concept art. My assumption is that this is there to represent where there will be dining and shopping options. I just can't place what the theming here is. Now, staying right in Magic Kingdom, the next big news is Cars Land. Cars will be coming to Frontierland at Walt Disney World, and with it there will be 2 new attractions. As we can see from the concept art provided by Disney, one of these attractions is going to be an off-road rally type race. Now, if you're saying that looks a lot like Radiator Springs Racers from California, you're not alone. That was my first thought as well. It definitely has the same feel to it, just themed to the wilderness. Don't get me wrong, there is nothing really wrong about that. Disney is investing a ludicrous amount of money into the parks. Not every attraction will end up being something completely brand new. The second attraction being added to Cars Land is going to be another racing type ride geared more towards kids, smaller guests. My biggest question mark when I heard Cars was coming to Frontierland was, where is it going? How are they going to make it work with the Frontierland theme? Now, since D23 has ended, we've learned that Disney will be removing Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island to make room for Cars Land. So that answered my first question of where it's going. Unfortunately, that announcement only amplified my second question. In particular, how are they seamlessly going to transition from Liberty Square to Cars Land? Like when I walk out of Haunted Mansion, am I going to see oversized cars zooming around nearby? Luckily, our friends on Reddit thought the same thing and composed this photo. Here we can see Cars Land superimposed on the existing Frontierland. This may be the best image I found to show how everything is going to fit together. And it looks to me that the landscaping is going to be key in making the transition from Liberty Square to the new Frontierland area. Regardless, construction on this area is set to begin in early 2025, so maybe I won't have to wait too long to see it all in person. Moving on to our next big announcement from D23, Monsters Inc. Land at Hollywood Studios. This is another one that's been rumored for several years, and it looks like we're finally getting it. Disney's released a couple of pieces of great concept art that's going to showcase how everything looks and how it's all going to fit together. We will finally be able to stroll the streets of Monstropolis. This area is going to be headlined by another roller coaster coming to Disney. This one will take you zooming through the door vault on Disney's first ever suspended roller coaster. The biggest question on everyone's mind at this point is, where are they putting Monstropolis? I've heard some ideas, including moving Star Wars and the Backlot Express to make room for Monsters Inc. Personally, I think the most likely area will be Animation Courtyard. If you remove Star Wars Launch Bay, that could be a great area for the Monsters Inc. roller coaster, and then you can move or remove Voyage of the Little Mermaid and the Disney Junior Show. That's just speculation, but unless they are going to create room on the boundary of the park somewhere, this is my best guess as to where Monsters Inc. will end up. Before we leave Hollywood Studios, one more quick note. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run will be getting an update. They are adding a new story featuring the Mandalorian and Grogu. The thing I'm curious about with this announcement, are they removing the existing story completely? Or could it be similar to Star Tours in that when you ride, you're not sure which story you will get? I think it'd be difficult to do the latter in that you would still have Hondo in the pre-show. Once again, we'll have to wait and see, but expect to see this update in 2026, around when the Mandalorian movie hits theaters. Now the big news for Animal Kingdom. Dinoland USA will soon be extinct. The entire area is going to be rethemed to Tropical Americas. Here's what we know about the new area replacing Dinoland. Encanto. The first ever Encanto attraction will be here. This ride is going to take you through Casita before ending up in Antonio's room. And if you somehow forgot, Antonio was the madrigal that was able to talk to animals. Makes sense that that is where we're going to be because we're in Animal Kingdom. Looking at the concept art, we can see that people are seated in smaller cars. My thoughts are that this may be similar to Ratatouille and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, but even the outside of the Encanto ride will be alive and you'll see things moving. This should be an amazing experience in Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom will also be getting its own carousel. Now this isn't going to be just any carousel with typical horses going up and down. We're in Animal Kingdom, so it's going to be all different kinds of animals. Wait, it's Disney's Animal Kingdom, so we're getting animal characters from Disney stories on this carousel. Honestly, I'm really happy they're including this. Not every single new ride has to be cutting edge, brand new technology. It's nice to see that some of the new stuff is catering to younger guests. I mean, Disney's for families, right? It's nice to include them. And back to something new for some of the slightly older guests. Indiana Jones is coming to Animal Kingdom. This ride will be a retheme of the current dinosaur ride, which was basically a retheme of the Indiana Jones ride in California. But we are getting a brand new story with this Indiana Jones ride. This time Indy will be exploring a Mayan temple because we're in the Tropical Americas area. And as a child of the 80s, I absolutely love that we are getting more Indy at Disney World. And while not a ride, we are getting a new quick service restaurant in the Tropical Americas. The former Restaurantosaurus will be rethemed to a Colombia-inspired quick service restaurant. Construction on this entire area is slated to start this fall and then open up in phases, finally being fully complete in 2027. Staying in Animal Kingdom for a minute, we did get an update on the Tree of Life. It's official. It's Tough to Be a Bug will be closing and getting replaced by a new Zootopia show. We don't know a lot about this yet, except that they said next winter. Now, is that when It's Tough to Be a Bug is closing, or is that when Zootopia opens? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. It's not all just attractions that were announced. Disney World will be getting a brand new nighttime parade, Disney Starlight. This new nighttime parade will be the first since the Main Street Electrical Parade. Disney Starlight will tell new stories about your favorite Disney characters, including Frozen, Encanto, Peter Pan, and more. The parade will be brought to life by the Blue Fairy using the latest in technology. I know we all miss the electrical parade, but I for one can't wait to see what Disney does with this new one. And we don't have to wait too long for this one, as it will be debuting sometime in 2025. Before we leave Florida, we have a couple of other quick announcements. Magic Kingdom will be getting a Pirates of the Caribbean themed lounge in 2025. I love the concept art for this new lounge. Here's hoping we get a little bit of like Trader Sam like effects in the lounge. I can just imagine the cannon firing above the far doorway, maybe the parrot talks, who knows. I think this is going to be an awesome fit in Adventureland, and I for one can't wait to try it out. And speaking of new lounges, Epcot is set to also get a new lounge. Well, maybe not exactly new, but repurposed. It is the old sponsor lounge that's above the post-show building of Spaceship Earth. And as you can see from the concept art, there's an amazing view of the nighttime fireworks show over World Showcase Lagoon. Honestly, I can easily see Disney offering a fireworks dining package when this opens up. And lastly, Test Track 3.0 is set to open back up in 2025. Before we leave the Florida projects, I just wanted to remind you that if you love Disney content, please subscribe to the channel. At Disney A to Z, my goal is to always bring you new and exciting Disney videos. Now, let's head over to Disneyland and see what projects they've got there. The first Disneyland project is something that I didn't know I needed to see so badly. The Walt Disney animatronic. Walt Disney: A Magical Life will open in 2025 at the Main Street Opera House. After its initial run, which coincides with the 70th anniversary of Disneyland, it will rotate at the Opera House with great moments with Mr. Lincoln. Walt Disney is not just the founder of Disney, but he's also a historical figure and cultural icon. This show will see Walt in his office and promises to be an inspiration to all ages. Walt had a unique way of looking at the world, and now you'll get to experience some of Walt's philosophy at Disneyland starting next year. Now, our next California big news: Coco. California Adventure will host the first ever Coco attraction. Not a lot of details were released with this announcement. We do know that it is scheduled to open in 2026. It was also noted that it will draw inspiration from rides like Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. So we do know it's going to be a dark ride. Looking at the concept art provided by Disney, you can see that it looks like it's a boat ride. What I think will be amazing about the attraction is, you're going to get to see parts of the ride where we see the bright fluorescent colors of the Land of the Dead. I think it has tons of potential. And honestly, I would not be surprised if it does well in California, that we may get a version of it in Florida, replacing the Three Caballeros in the Mexico Pavilion. So we'll just have to wait and see. Also a California adventure, Avengers Campus. Avengers Campus is about to double in size. And no, I'm not talking about Ant-Man growing into Giant Man. We're getting 2 more attractions in an expanded area of Avengers Campus. First up, we're getting Stark Flight Lab. Now, this doesn't look like it's going to be a huge thrill ride, but the more I look at the concept art, I think this is going to be quite a unique attraction. It looks based off of Tony Stark's robotic lab assistant arm from the first couple Iron Man movies. That in itself is pretty awesome that Disney dug that deep to create a ride from. We see that there are 2 different aspects to this ride. There is the conveyor belt going in an oval around the arms, and then there's the arms themselves. So it looks to me that you'll be going around the oval, and then the arms will come down, grab your ride vehicle, lift you up, spin you around, do something. And then you're just placed back on your conveyor cart. Maybe we do this multiple times, maybe it's random, who knows. But as I said before, this does look to be a unique experience. Secondly, we have Infinity Defense. This will be Avenger Campus' newest thrill attraction. The story is that King Thanos has stolen technology that allows the Avengers to jump between worlds. This will take you to multiple popular MCU destinations like New York, Wakanda, Asgard, and then you will assist the Avengers in defeating Thanos to retrieve this technology. Sometimes concept art gives you exactly what you need to figure out what Disney's plans are. Sometimes you've got nothing to go on. This time I think Disney gave me just enough to make an educated guess, which could be right, or it could end up being horribly and horrendously wrong. Only time's gonna tell. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and predict that this to be in some ways a motion simulator, kind of like Star Tours. But I don't think you'll be stationary in one room like Star Tours. Maybe more like the end of Rise of the Resistance, where your ride vehicle is independent, but then enters a motion simulator type room. I don't know, I'm not an Imagineer. This is just my educated guess, which like I said, could be completely off base. But construction on this bad boy is slated to start sometime in 2025. The last thing coming to Disneyland Resort is Pandora. An Avatar-themed land will be coming to Disney's California Adventure. The best part is that it's not going to be a carbon copy of Pandora in Florida. We'll be getting a whole new experience in California. Pandora at Disney World was inspired by the first Avatar movie, with the jungle theme and the floating mountains. Pandora in California will take its inspiration from Avatar: The Way of Water and the new Avatar movie yet to be released, Fire and Ash. Not many details were released about what all will be included in the Avatar land. The concept art does show that at least one attraction will be a boat ride. Although we can expect it will be a new story, I wonder how close this boat ride will be to Na'vi River Journey at Animal Kingdom. And though it wasn't announced, I'm going to assume that we'll be getting a second attraction in this land. That kind of seems to be Disney's thing. You open a new land, you get at least 2 attractions. And then reading between the lines here, but with Disney not saying what attractions they're putting in, I'm going to assume that this project is still in early development. Translation, of all the projects announced, this one may be a few years away from coming to fruition. As far as Disney World and Disneyland Resorts, that is everything that was announced at the D23 Disney Experiences Showcase. When I said at the beginning of the video that anticipation was high for this D23, I feel like Disney absolutely delivered. There were more projects announced at this event than in any single event that I can remember. So here's the big question. Out of all the projects I talked about, which ones are you most excited to see? Which experiences, which attractions are now part of your Disney bucket list? Personally for me, at Disney World, hands down, it's Villain Land and Magic Kingdom. This area has been so long overdue. I think it's going to make an amazing experience at Magic Kingdom. And over at Disneyland, it's the show Walt Disney, A Magical Life. I've always been a huge fan of Walt and what he has given the world. Now, I'm an East Coast person, but I will be making a special West Coast visit just for that when it opens. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you are most excited to see. And as promised, I've got a special announcement for something I'm going to start doing on this channel. Starting next month, I'm going to do a whole new segment called Ask Me Anything. The plan is we're going to do a live video and we're going to do a one topic per month. So 1 month it may be Magic Kingdom, 1 month it may be moderate resorts, 1 month it may be vacation planning. But I want to do live and we're going to actually have you, the audience, ask me anything and I'll respond on the spot. I think this is going to be something that's going to be a lot of fun and get a lot of engagement with you guys. So let me know what you think and keep an eye out for that starting next month. So that's all I've got for today. I really want to thank you for spending your time with me here today. And if you could, please subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all my latest content. And if you hit that thumbs up button, that'll also allow others to see all the stuff that we've covered here today. I'll be digging into some more of these projects as more info comes out. So again, thanks for your time today, and I'll see you real soon.